This is KGW News at noon.
How do we build the housing that we need, where it's needed, at the affordability that every person in that community has an option? So you want housing choice that's true choice, that's affordable, accessible, and stable.
Lawmakers in Salem tackling homelessness in a big way. Today, Governor Tina Kotek is expected to sign the Affordable Housing and Emergency Homelessness Response Package into law. Hello, I'm Christine Pitawanich. Thank you for joining us here at noon. As part of that package, the state will be spending $200 million to ramp up affordable housing production, support homeless youth, and help renters facing eviction, among other things. The Senate passed the package last night, with half of the chamber's Republicans voting in favor. It passed the House last week with bipartisan support as well. But there was some criticism. One senator who voted against the package wanted more incentives for housing developers. Others opposed the high spending. Still, most nonprofits and housing groups expressed support. Meanwhile, in Portland, Mayor Ted Wheeler answered people's questions last night about the first of 6 city-sanctioned homeless campsites. The first one is set for Southeast Portland. The plan is to transform this property on Southeast Gideon Street near Powell Boulevard. Up to 150 people could stay there and get help with things like food, hygiene, and safety. The nonprofit Urban Alchemy will run the site, and officials from that group said weapons will not be allowed, and they'll only accept referrals, no walk-ins. Also, no one will be forced to stay there. On the call, Mayor Ted Wheeler said Governor Tina Kotek is expected to issue pod-like structures rather than tents at the site.
Tents will work, and the Urban Alchemy model has been based on tents. But if we can also find a quick way to both fund and deliver pods, that would certainly be an improvement from my perspective.
The city says there will be more security and a ban on camping within 1,000 feet of the site. There will also be another virtual discussion on Thursday. Okay, let's do a quick check-in with Rod Hill now in the Weather Center. Rod, another beautiful day so far.
Yes, and with that said, for some reason I'm starting off with this camera, which is just showing a little bit of cloudiness along the beaches, but it's been a nice day at the coast today as well. This is Lincoln City Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera showing some cloudiness around, but mostly our cameras are showing bright blue sunshine. Here's the deep blue sky up in Calais County. That's Three Rivers Golf Course up in Kelso. Here's Stoller Family Vineyards Estate down in Dayton. We have the same sunny sky in Portland, and we are at 55, running well ahead of yesterday's pace, and yesterday hit 64. So for now, we'll hold it at 62 for high. Remember, once we get past 3 o'clock, we enter the chance to see a scattered shower, and it's still at least a possibility that later, going into this evening, there could be an isolated thunderstorm. Now, Futurecast is not biting on that as heavily as it once was, but if you have plans to be outdoors later today, here's some showers at 4 o'clock. See the yellow? That's a heavy downpour, maybe a rumble of thunder in Clark County at 6 o'clock. And then that thunderstorm threat would probably go until about 8 or 9 and then be over. The bigger story is not today, Christine, but tomorrow, and we'll get into the storm watches for the mountains and those lowering snow levels for the Rose City. That's coming up.
Yeah, so much happening so soon. Okay, thanks, Rod. The man police say is a person of interest in the case involving a missing mom and daughter appeared back in court about 2 hours ago. Michelle Melendez and her 8-year-old daughter Layla went missing a little over a week ago. Warren is Melendez's boyfriend. That's Warren Kirkland Warren, that is. He was in Clark County Court today in connection to a 2017 murder case out of Arkansas. Warren's attorney asked for more time to decide whether to waive extradition. He'll be back in court next month and is currently being held without bail. Meantime, Melendez's family is hoping someone out there knows something about her and her daughter's whereabouts. KGW's Mike Benner spoke with the family.
There's always somebody that knows something.
A plea for information about Michelle Melendez and Layla Stewart. The Vancouver mother and daughter have been missing for more than a week. Family is beyond concern.
It's been since last Sunday since anybody heard, seen, or talked to my daughter and granddaughter.
I'm missing a whole part of me. It's my sister and that's my niece. We don't know where they're at.
Michelle and Layla were last seen March 12th near Northeast 77th Avenue and Vancouver Mall Drive. According to court documents, a friend saw the two with Michelle's boyfriend, Kirkland Warren. The friend says Michelle was unconscious and naked from the waist down.
There was a restraining order against him, a protective order for him to stay away from her.
It all stems from an incident back in December. Warren's accused of shooting up Miché's apartment on Northeast 66th Avenue. Police arrested him, and despite scoring high on a danger assessment, partly because of a pending murder case in Arkansas, Warren bailed out of jail. He did so without an electronic monitoring device, which is recommended for suspects in domestic violence cases.
He's obviously has some issues, and why would we want that kind of a person out on the street?
Regardless, Warren was arrested again and in court Tuesday, where a judge set bail at $1 million and ordered GPS monitoring should Warren bail out again. This is for violating parole and contacting Miché after the alleged shooting and right before her and her daughter's disappearance.
Does the family think he's involved in this?
Completely.
But Warren is allegedly refusing to talk to authorities about Miché Melendez and Layla Stewart, a mother and daughter who've been missing for far too long.
Trying to stay strong. I don't really know how to deal with it.
Trusting in the universe, you know, and trusting that, being optimistic that, you know, we'll find them and they'll be brought home safe.
I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
Okay, if you have a second, take a look at your screen because Vancouver police are asking for tips and surveillance video related to these 3 cars. Police are asking anyone with video of these cars between March 11th and 18th to come forward. We have all the details in Mike Benner's article up on our website, kgw.com. Now to an update on 3 new Oregon bills meant to address gun violence. Lawmakers are expected to discuss them tonight. One of the bills focuses on banning ghost guns, which can be 3D printed, assembled at home in kits, and don't have serial numbers. The legislation also raises the age to buy a gun to 21, with exceptions for hunting, military service, and law enforcement. And another one of the bills would allow local governments to restrict legally concealed guns on property and buildings. Now here's Democrat Paul Evans, who co-sponsored the bill package.
What I recognized is that there are things that we can do and an approach that is reflective of the way Oregon approaches problems that could both respect the rights of gun owners and at the same time make a significant difference in our overall safety.
A public hearing for all 3 bills is scheduled for tonight at 5 o'clock. Meantime, Measure 114, a gun control law voters narrowly pushed through in November, continues to get hung up in court. Also happening in Salem, lawmakers are thinking about joining a growing list of states wanting to ban certain foreign-owned apps like TikTok on state-owned devices. The idea is getting bipartisan support. This proposed ban is something that we've been seeing around the nation. More than 24 other states have proposed or passed similar bills. Oregon House Bill 3127 would ban the use of applications that are owned by companies that have ties to foreign countries that aren't friends of the U.S. Among the list of companies on that bill is ByteDance. That's a company known or based in China and most known for being TikTok's parent company.
This is just about state government devices. So your personal device, not impacted by this legislation whatsoever. But state employees who are given a phone or a tablet as part of their job on those devices where sensitive information could be used, those applications will not be allowed to be downloaded.
This bill has bipartisan support in both the Oregon House and Senate, and it is expected to go up for a vote in the House sometime next week.